Welcome to a Career Speaker Series. Thank you for joining us. My name is Connie Lucio, a Fun College Counselor. Allow me to introduce our speaker, a graduate of Norfolk State University, where she studied mass communications, directed 3 galleries of media for the U.S. Smithsonian, the National Museum of African American History and Culture. She was responsible for more than 30 video installations, produced and directed mini documentaries and scholarly interviews. Welcome, Alexis Aggrey, a director, producer who has worked in television for over 15 years, creating documentary content that educates and inspires. Thank you so much, Alexis, for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I love these sorts of chats because they inspired me when I was a young person. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Students, please feel free to use the chat feature to ask any questions. So we're going to start off with what is your name, company, organization that you work with?
Yes, so my name is Alexis Aggrey. I started my production company in 2019 after working in television for about 15 years because I was getting so many requests to sort of do my own thing and I couldn't take as many projects on working as staff. So I started my production company so that I could work across multiple networks and lots of different clients.
Where does your company organization do?
Sure. So Agrico is a boutique production company. We work across museum installation, long form documentary, and also we do this sort of new streaming and digital content. So I think about 10 years ago, if someone worked in digital, they made, social media videos. Now, digital production and digital content creation is about creating content for streaming networks. So like Disney Plus or National Geographic Plus or PBS Plus. So we create half-hour documentary series for a lot of Plus verticals or Plus channels that you can get on Roku and on like the paid side of like YouTube. And we work across VR and traditional storytelling. So we've done all kinds of content from sort of large scale room installations where it feels like you're at a concert. We did an installation at the Woodstock Museum that makes you feel like you're actually at Woodstock. To a mobile piece that is meant to be shared on like TikTok or Instagram. So we're storytellers. I like to think of us as storytellers first, but we're also geeks. So we like to create across all kinds of mediums, and we're not scared of a challenge. So that is Agrico in a nutshell.
Thank you. So we're going to go way back as far as like what made you decide to begin in the fields of producing and media?
That's a really good question. I didn't know I wanted to be a producer because I didn't really know what that even was in high school. I had a really amazing college counselor that encouraged me to go to the school that paid me the most money to go. And also she reminded me to have a little bit of fun. So my alma mater, Norfolk State University, is an HBCU in Virginia. And it was a really great opportunity for me to sort of dig in and use cameras and learn how to edit. That was fairly new when I was in college. Nonlinear editing was pretty new, and play in graphics, but also build relationships with people that would later become colleagues. So college was both great because I got a lot of hands-on opportunities, but also great because the students that I was there with went on to also be, pretty successful in television and in storytelling. So I'm really grateful for that experience, but I didn't know I wanted to be a producer. I just knew I talked a lot and I like to tell stories, and I didn't really know what that meant. A lot of people told me I should work in news. I tried that. I didn't like news very much because I didn't think it was very pretty. And then sort of the more internships I did, the more it became clear I wanted to be the person that put all the pieces together and wrote stories from beginning to end. So from the idea, and then take that idea all the way to the screen, and then figure out, do people like it? They don't like it, what can we change about it to make it better? So it was an evolution, but it started with me talking a lot. that's how I started, I think, in this career path.
Thank you for sharing that. Some of the things that our students like, have the questionings like what to major in and what career, what's that look like, and this is important for them to know that there's other careers, and then the end, it's like the beginning part and going to college and actually getting the training.
Definitely. Yes. College was really helpful. I think college, because college isn't like trade school where you just go and you only learn, not only, but you learn sort of, you're immersed in one trade. Trade school is sort of like if you go to like an art institute of, Washington or California or whatever, you're learning graphics, you're learning the ins and outs of the different programs. What an undergraduate experience really allows you to do is sort of practice lots of different things and be exposed to lots of different people and things, to help you sort of begin to shape that. I think the most important thing, because when I look around at my colleagues now and the people that do what I do, a lot of them didn't get degrees in television or in broadcast or news or journalism, but they did their internships, at a network or at a studio. So internships were really, really important in sort of getting your foot in the door. There you go.
What are some of the challenges that you have dealt with in your job?
I think the biggest challenge is sort of a challenge within myself, and always wondering if I'm supposed to be in the rooms that I'm in. When I first started working at National Geographic, that was one of my first jobs out of college. I was, one of very few African Americans, and I just had imposter syndrome so much. I was always nervous that I wasn't going to say the right thing. And I had a lot of really great mentors that encouraged me to not be so nervous and to trust my skills and to work hard. And, my hard work would be appreciated and seen. And I think that's true. So I think the biggest challenge was myself, not knowing if I'm good enough to do certain things. And now that I've been working in the industry for so long, I think a lot of the challenge is getting over thinking that it's some special industry that only certain people can work in. I think even 20 years ago, people that work hard, that care, and that want to tell stories can make a way for themselves and make an opportunity and a career for themselves in this industry. So yeah, I think that's probably the scariest part, is thinking that you're good enough. But once you get over that, not, the days are long. Maybe that's rough. The days can be long, but.
Thank you. I'm going to ask some questions that's in the chat. So there's a student that's been making skateboarding videos and has a great YouTube channel. Any advice for getting started and turning that into a career in film?
I would say there's so many ways. YouTube didn't exist when I was your age. I don't even know how old you are, but I know it didn't exist when I was your age. And what I'll say is keep going. There are people like Issa Rae that are as famous as Issa Rae is because she just started telling stories and she started building an audience that cared about the stories that she was telling. So if you're making cool skateboarding videos and content around sort of, you and your friends skateboarding and doing cool tricks, I would say keep making it, keep getting better. keep consuming content and putting it out there, because there are lots of sponsorship opportunities. I'm sure all of you know all the very famous TikTok people that are making, 1-minute videos and going completely viral and getting, an agency to represent them because their content is worth, it's worth money. It's worth something. So keep going. Definitely keep making your cool videos.
Thank you. There's a question is, what is your background? Where did you grow up?
That's a good question. I was born in Washington, D.C. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and then my parents moved to the suburbs, which was sad, but actually amazing because I got a super diverse experience in Northern Virginia, which is very different than Southern Virginia. So I grew up in the DC metropolitan region. And I went to undergrad in Virginia and Lower Virginia, in Southern Virginia, which is slightly different. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. And was there anything that you participated in high school that helped you, inspired you towards producing?
I think learning how to tell a story. So I participated in debate, and I think the research portion of debate was really helpful in telling stories. I think any type of writing and any type of content creation really starts with being able to tell a complete story, beginning, middle, and end. And debate was really helpful in learning how to organize my ideas in a way that I could communicate those ideas to people really clearly. So I think that was really helpful. I didn't know that was going to be helpful at the time, but I think some of those techniques are things I still use today.
Thank you. There's any advice to actors who are trying to get out there?
I don't work a lot with scripted content, but what I would say is that continuing to create content, writing your own stories, participating in your friends, maybe you have a friend that writes, and acting and sharpening your skills is always, always good advice. I think so many of our favorite actors and actresses have just been participating in shows and creating content even before, there was, videotape. So continuing to practice is always what makes perfect.
Thank you. I'm scrolling down on the chat. How many years did it take you to begin your first project with directing?
That's a really good question. It took a really long time to direct. And the reason for that is because to direct a film, you really should understand everybody's job. And there are a lot of jobs on a film set, whether it's scripted or unscripted. I work mostly in unscripted, so documentary and factual content. But what I'll say is that I was directing smaller independent pieces just in my spare time, just to sharpen my skills and make sure that I was proficient in lighting and camera, understanding how cameras worked and how to make them work the best, the way that they're intended to work, but also to get the most out of them. While I don't think I'm a great shooter, I do know how to communicate what types of shots I need from my camera guy. And that's a really important skill to be able to have, not to just rely on what everyone else knows, but know their job, so that when you're talking about how to make your project better, that you can have a clear conversation about what needs to happen and what you don't like about what they're doing, or what you love about what they're doing and how you want them to do more of it. So it took, my directorial debut was in 2015. My first PA, production assistant job, was in 2004. So, a long time, a very long time.
Thank you. There's a question, what's something that you learned late about film industry that you wished you learned early?
That's a really good question. I wish I think of, while Issa Rae is definitely a peer from an age standpoint. We're about the same age. I think she's slightly younger than me. But I wish I had her desire to just put content out. So similar to the young person that was talking about their skate videos on YouTube, if I had been putting out content, my own content, and not just making it for myself and putting it on a shelf and only sharing it with my family and friends, but putting it out to the world, I think there would have been some more opportunities for me to sort of move in this industry differently. I feel like that goes back to sort of what I was saying earlier, the confidence to sort of be proud of the work that you do and to know that you're a work in progress, and not to ever feel imposter syndrome or ever feel like you don't belong, and to keep creating content. I wish I had known that earlier, instead of just making everybody else's dreams work, like, and organizing everybody else's dreams. I wish I had been doing that, because that pays my bills, but also making sure that the projects that I was doing on the side and on the weekend, that I was putting those out, into the world, that I had created a YouTube channel and things like that. So I wish I had done that a little bit earlier, but it's never too late to start. So I'm actively creating content, whether a network buys it or not, just to keep my skills sharp, and also to just to move that muscle, because creativity is a muscle. So
That is true. Thank you for sharing that. That goes to our next question. Are there any practical skills that help you be successful in your role?
I think writing is a skill that everyone should sort of hone, and at varying levels. Everybody's not meant to be a screenwriter, but you'll never get an opportunity to produce your best friend's screenplay if you can't write a competent email, if you can't write a good email and communicate. So I think writing, not just being able to verbally communicate your ideas clearly, but also to be able to write them down in a way that other people understand is really important. And I also think in this particular industry, but probably applies to many of the career folks that you'll be talking to, is keeping your attitude in check, and having a positive attitude all the time can be tiring. But it's really important, because in this industry, and probably many industries, people want to invest in you because they like you. And if you are delightful to be around, you'll get more opportunities. So sometimes this career, and many careers, can be challenging because people tell you things you don't want to hear. But it's important to remember that all, people saying no isn't a negative about you. It means not right now. And, to take any time that you get a no, to take those moments and move on from them, and try to do it, respectfully and with a positive attitude. People will remember that. There was an internship that I didn't get. I was, the last person. It was me and another girl, and there was only one more slot left, and I didn't get it. But I was delightful the entire time, and the internship coordinator liked me so much. And even though she didn't have internship for me, she ended up hiring me as a PA, a paid position, because she liked me, and she thought that I took it really gracefully. I sent her a thank you note, even though I didn't get the internship, and she remembered me. And months later, I ended up getting a job because I had a positive attitude. So I think that's something we should all remember.
Yes, that's very helpful for students to know. A question from the chat. Did you look into other careers before looking into for directing?
So no, but that's a really good question, because somewhere around 2010, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I became a mom. I have a 14-year-old son, Miles. And when he was, oh gosh, I don't even know, 3 or so, I wanted to be home more. My hours were really long, because television hours tend to be a little bit long, and I wanted to be home more. So I decided to start teaching. And it's a very noble profession, but it is not It is not my personal gift. And I taught for a year, and I loved the students, and it was a really eye-opening and important experience for me to know that I actually did need to be in television. And I ended up not taking the contract the next year and going back to television and making a documentary about education for PBS. So it all worked together, and it all, the universe made it work for the good. But I took a break from television for a year to teach. I'm not a teacher. I'm delightful, but I'm not a teacher.
Thank you. Another question from the chat. Have you met your goals in life, or is there anything, something big that you would like to accomplish?
Such a good question. So I believe I've met a lot of goals, but every time I meet a goal, I make a new one. So I've made several new goals because I've reached a lot of goals that I wanted to achieve. One of my goals, if you're curious, was to not work for a network directly, to not be a staff member at a network, and to have my own production company. And I've met that goal, and I've been successfully sort of working on my own for about 2 years now. I've worked freelance before, but it's a little bit different when you have employees and people looking to you. So I've been able to do that for about 2 years, and it's been really great. I'm really happy to have done that, but I've set new goals. So I'm always striving, always trying to be better. And yeah, so that's a really great question. But when you reach a goal, you don't quit. You have a new goal.
I love that. That's a great. Where can the students find examples of your work?
Sure. So my website is actually was on the welcome slide, Aggrey, AGGREY.co. There's some examples of the museum work that I've done, the work that lives in the Museum on African American History and Culture, that's Smithsonian in DC. And then there's, I think, 180 Days is on there. My most recent project, I just literally just finished it like yesterday, is a show, an undefeated series on ESPN Plus called Why Not Us? North Carolina Central University. It's about HBCU basketball. So if you have ESPN Plus, I encourage you to check it out. I'm pretty sure there's a free trial if you don't have it, so check it out. It's a cool series with Chris Paul.
Thank you. The next one is, what is one thing you can tell the students towards like achieving their dreams and goals?
I think believe in yourself. It's really important. I think it's, you don't have to be, I wasn't the straight A student that graduated, magna cum laude, which is like the highest honor from my university. I wasn't even the best student in high school. I was a fine student that, did my assignments, maybe missed one or two. But I think what's important are some of those hard skills, like that you pay attention, that when you say you're going to be somewhere, that you're there on time. And that if you're not a good writer, or a teacher, gives you low marks on your writing assignments, that you keep writing, even if you're not great at it in class, to keep writing and to keep striving. So I think everyone can do more than what they think they can do. And we all just have to, get a good dose of like positive energy and positive attitude to remember that, there's more to everything than, one failure. So I would say keep brushing up on your writing and communicating skills, making sure that you speak clearly and that you have confidence in the things that you say. That's really important.
Thank you. What is a good advice that you'll give to your youth today?
I think some of my favorite advice, I have a 14-year-old, I'm reminding him on a regular basis that, there's there's there is a permanent record, I guess, when you're trying to get into college, but a lot of that is not um, it's not the end. So if you weren't the strongest student in high school, there's probably still a university for you, or a college for you, or a junior college for you, or some program for you to get into. So don't be so hard on yourself. And if you didn't do a great job in middle school or in high school, there's still time. There's still time to do a little bit more so that you can live the life you want to live. And if you want to have a career in television, or you want to have a creative career, it's important that you just keep trying. And no doesn't mean you're bad. No just means not right now. And maybe you've got to brush up on some skills. So I think that's the best advice. I think sometimes we're really hard on ourselves, and you look at your neighbor, you look at a sibling or your best friend, and you're like, oh, they make such good grades, and I've got a C or I've got a B. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be the best. So it's the person that works the hardest. And that could be you, even if you don't make straight A's.
Thank you. And what is the biggest piece of film that you are currently working on, or
So that's a good question. I think the biggest project that I've worked on to date is probably the museum, just because of what it was. I think before that, um, we did an education series that I mentioned, 180 Days, and that won a Peabody Award, which in filmmaking is like it's the highest storytelling award you can receive. And that was really special and important. Right now, I'm working on an hour for Viacom CBS about Afrofuturism, and the tradition of Afrofuturism. So from Sun Ra, who's this crazy jazz musician that was abducted by aliens and kind of funky and weird, all the way to like Black Panther and what's going on with sort of the Marvel universe. So Afrofuturism is this really cool topic, and I get to make an hour about it for Viacom CBS. So that's my biggest project, and I'm really excited for that to come out next year.
thank you. I'll be looking forward to reviewing over. Well, it's already 12 p.m. and I want to thank you so much for volunteering and speaking to our students today.